has been quite an eventful offseason, and we are in a strange time for the NBA where the offseason tends to be more exciting than the regular season. I'm here to break down the biggest winners of the 2024 offseason. Those teams would be the Oklahoma City Thunder, New York Knicks, Dallas Mavericks, Minnesota Timberwolves, San Antonio Spurs, New Orleans Pelicans, Sacramento Kings, Orlando Magic, and Boston Celtics. I did not include the Philadelphia 76ers like I see a lot of other people claiming as winners. I think they will actually regret signing Paul George, and I'll talk more about that in my next video on the offseason's biggest losers. I don't have the Warriors as winners or losers. I don't think Buddy Hield replacing Klay Thompson or bringing in Kyle Anderson for defense will kill them, but I don't think it'll revive the dynasty either. They had a great run, but I'm pretty convinced it's over. But let's just get the show on the road now. First, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are coming off a season where they were the youngest #1 seed in NBA history at an average age of 23.9 years. They already have a franchise player in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and have been able to build a solid core around him. What if I told you that supporting cast can become even better? It definitely did after they brought in Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein to bolster what was already the fourth best defensive team last season. They got Caruso for Josh Giddey, who has taken a noticeable step back in his development and was terrible in the playoffs. Caruso is the kind of role player every team would love to have for his defense and hustle, and he's also a much improved outside shooter. As for Hartenstein, we know he's a great rim protector. On offense, he might not score a lot, but he can set great screens and is a really good passer, so even though he'll be Chet Holmgren's backup at center, I can definitely see him getting some minutes with the starters, and he'll be a positive for them. Hell of an offseason for OKC. The Knicks may have lost Isaiah Hartenstein, but they got Mikal Bridges to reunite with 3 of his college teammates and managed to re-sign OG Anunoby. Anunoby may be injury prone, but at least Bridges is one of the most durable players in the league. Bridges may not be the guy you want creating shots for your team, which we saw on the Nets. However, we saw him be a great complementary player in Phoenix, and I expect him to be the same for the Knicks, especially when playing alongside 3 of his college teammates, one of them being the clear-cut best player on the team who just took a massive pay cut, taking an extension this summer that'll pay him $113 million less than what he could have been guaranteed had he waited until free agency next year. Imagine your clear-cut best player is only the 3rd highest paid player on the team. That is the New York Knicks right now. Now on top of that, the Knicks re-signed OG Anunoby for 5 years and $42 million per year. His AAV may be a lot for a guy who is yet to make an All-Star game, but this year he's only the 30th highest paid player. Want to talk about an overpay? Ben Simmons is making more money than Anunoby to not even play most of the time, and when he does play, he's just completely useless. Donovan Mitchell's extension that he signed will begin next year, and that'll easily exceed Anunoby's contract. SGA is eligible for his Supermax extension next year, and De'Aaron Fox should be signing a bigger contract than Anunoby when he's a free agent in 2 years. Jalen Williams is still in his rookie contract, so it shouldn't be long before he gets a better payday than Anunoby too, so I'm not worried at all about the money Anunoby is getting. Now the Knicks just need a center after losing Isaiah Hartenstein, which I had a feeling would happen, and because Mitchell Robinson is injury prone, but Mikal Bridges as your number 2 now, who's durable and was even once second in defensive player of the year voting. This offseason is a huge win for the Knicks in my book. They also just signed Cam Payne to a cheap 1-year deal to reunite him with Mikal Bridges. As you may remember, they made the finals together on the Suns 3 years ago, and from what I see on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, Bridges approves. Now for the Dallas Mavericks, coming off their first trip to the NBA Finals since 2011, they made a splash by bringing in Klay Thompson. Klay may be 34 years old and not as good as he used to be. However, the upside is that he's only making $16 million per year for the next 3 years. That's certainly not bad. He's about to make less than what he got from the Warriors when he was the 3rd guy behind KD and Steph, and we can keep in mind the salary cap is always rising. Klay may not have the same defensive impact he used to have due to his injuries and age. However, he is still a great elite catch-and-shoot threat, which is exactly what Luka needs with his ball-dominant play style. Klay still shot close to 39% from 3 last season. Yes, losing Derrick Jones Jr. may not exactly be ideal, but the Mavs also added Najee Marshall to make up for losing Derrick Jones Jr. They also still have Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, and PJ Washington on the defensive end. It'll still be tough for the Mavs to get back to the finals because the West is so stacked, but I at least think the Mavs should have a better regular season record next season than they did last season. Now for the Minnesota Timberwolves, coming off their best season since 2004, they were able to upgrade their roster, and it wasn't even through free agency. They acquired Rob Dillingham in a draft day trade to give the team more offensive firepower, since it became very clear during the conference finals that Karl Anthony Towns is not good enough to be the second best player on a championship team. I'm not saying Dillingham will be either, at least right away, since he hasn't even played an NBA game yet. Still, he gives the team more offensive firepower, as the team only had a slightly below league average offensive rating last season. And also, Mike Conley is about to be 37 years old. Conley's still a solid point guard who can contribute to winning basketball, but it sure doesn't hurt to get a much younger point guard with great speed and the ability to handle the ball like he has the ball on a string. Conley can also take Dillingham under his wing as a mentor while he's still with the Wolves, as his contract will expire 2 years from now. Oh yeah, the Timberwolves also drafted Terrence Shannon Jr., who just averaged 23 points per game in his final season at Illinois with the 27th overall pick. Shannon has very good size at 6'7", 225 pounds, but he fell to just 27th because he spent 5 years in college and is now 23 years old. The NCAA granted an extra year of eligibility to all athletes who participated in the 2020-21 season due to disruptions caused by COVID at the time. The value that the Timberwolves are getting with the late first round pick as a guy who attacks relentlessly and can get to the foul line while having the body to be a solid defender is a huge win for the Wolves. Just because you're a contending team now doesn't mean you can't do amazing things during the draft, and the Timberwolves just proved that. They also got Joe Ingles to be a sharpshooter off the bench for them. The San Antonio Spurs may still be a long shot from returning to their glory days. However, I think having Chris Paul, even while he's 39 and far from the player he used to be, is still a great pickup as a guy who can be there to mentor the young guys. Plus, they added a guy with championship experience in Harrison Barnes who can still space the floor. I think the Spurs are finally making steps in the right direction. The Spurs having 2 unprotected first round picks from the Atlanta Hawks from the DeJounte Murray trade 2 years ago, and with the Hawks entering a rebuild phase as they traded Murray to the Pelicans, that helps them a lot too. It'll still be tough for the Spurs to make any noise in the playoffs given how deep the Western Conference is, but I think at the very least they are a play-in team and are in a great position to build a great team around Victor Wembanyama for the long haul. Speaking of the New Orleans Pelicans, who are coming off their best season record-wise since 2009 when they were still the New Orleans Hornets, are definitely winners this offseason. They got DeJounte Murray for a bunch of role players who didn't even average 10 points per game this past season, and a couple first round picks. One of those first round picks is from the Lakers, which was part of the package they traded for Anthony Davis, and as much as the Lakers are losers this offseason, I still don't think the Hawks are getting the #1 pick from the Lakers, since they still have LeBron and AD playing at all-star levels. The Pelicans have needed a point guard for a while, and they got one. They had CJ McCollum playing point guard the last 2.5 seasons, but he's really a shooting guard. Positions in the NBA do still matter. DeJounte Murray was asked to play off the ball with Trae Young, and that's not really his game. He gets to play more on the ball now. Talent for talent, yeah, the Pelicans totally got the better end of this trade, but I think I'll wait to see what the Hawks get out of the 2 first round picks they got in exchange for Murray and what they do with Trae Young before I call them losers, but the Pelicans are definitely winners to me here. Next, I have the Sacramento Kings, a team that missed the playoffs last season, but not because they were bad, but because the West is so stacked. I think getting DeMar DeRozan is absolutely a win for them. While he may not be the deadliest three-point shooter and is about to join the team that shot the 3rd most threes last season, it's not like teams sag off of him like he's Ben Simmons when he does shoot the 3. He still demands attention out on the perimeter because of his ability to knock down mid-range shots. DeRozan may may be 34, but he's still a very capable scorer. He gives the Kings a solid number 2 behind De'Aaron Fox, and he's not on too hefty of a contract. Having Domantas Sabonis as your third scorer is a huge luxury that the Kings have now. The Kings also re-signed Malik Monk after he was the runner-up for 6th Man of the Year. The Kings are still far from being championship contenders, but I believe they at least did good enough this offseason to be a better team than they were last season, in which they won 46 games. Now on to the Orlando Magic. They didn't make a huge splash by any means, but the one addition they made is enough for them to be winners this offseason in my book. They're a young team and added KCP, a 2-time champion and one of the better 3-and-D players in the league, who will undeniably make this team that already had the second best defensive rating last season even better on that end, while giving a team that was just 24th in 3-point percentage last season more floor spacing. Last, I have the Boston Celtics. Even though they didn't add anyone, they are winners to me because unlike the previous defending champions since 2019, they didn't lose any key players, and it's tougher to keep your core intact now with the new CBA. The Celtics managed to extend both of their best players. Now their next task is to be healthy for the playoffs, and at the very least, they can get back to the NBA Finals. I really hope they don't win another one though. So that's it for my winners of the 2024 offseason. What do you guys think? I look forward to reading your comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be really appreciated and really helpful. If you could please consider subscribing and turning on notifications, your support is much appreciated, and welcome to the team. If you're already subscribed, thanks as always. Links to my social media are down below for my more immediate reactions to what's going on in the sports world. If you'd like to see my most recent video or the one that YouTube recommends, both are up above. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.